So guys, it's that time again. More championship score predictions. Let's start predicting. What's up everyone, welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. We made it to Matchday 42 right now. We've got a lot of big scenarios taking place in this weekend. All the fixtures will be played at 12:30 this time. We've got a couple of early fixtures today, and we've also got some fixtures on Sunday as well. So very spread apart these fixtures are. Now in terms of correct scores in midweek, only 2 of you got a correct score in midweek. Well done Charlie Brown and Joshua Frood for getting a correct score. I didn't get any, but I was antagonizingly close on 3 of them. This is now what the Lexus Hall of Fame looks like for me. It is so nerve-wracking on my part. I'm still leader, but only by 1 point. It's really going to be a tight finish. This is what the Championship Lexus Hall of Fame looks like as well. There's been no change in that. But for the fact we've got some Championship games, and in the second half of the video, I'm going to predict the Premier League games and the FA Cup semi-finals. We've got plenty of opportunity to try and get some scores onto the Lexus Hall of Fame. But with any further ado, let's start predicting these games. So start off with the early game. We'll start off with Blackburn going up against Derby County. Both these teams in a really precarious position in terms of their position in the table. Derby right now are at 21st place and will be the team that Rotherham will be chasing after to try and get themselves out of the bottom 3. And Derby's form has just completely deteriorated, really. To put in perspective of their poor away form, they've only picked up 1 point in their last 6 away games with 5 defeats of 6. Blackburn, their form has collapsed since 2021, only 1 win in their last 16 games. I think based on recent performances between the two sides, I thought Derby were unlucky not to get anything against Norwich, and I thought Blackburn were unlucky to get anything against Cardiff. I'm going to say a 1-1 draw. I don't think it will naturally suit the sides, especially Derby, who would want to really increase their distance between the teams fighting relegation. But I do think this point would definitely put them in a healthier position come the end of the season. FIFA 21's predicted a 1-0 away win for Derby. Next up, we've got Reading going up against Cardiff, and you can't help but feel that this is a must-win game for Reading. For 2 reasons, really. One, it'll put Cardiff out of contention of getting into the top 6, and they won't need to worry about another rival trying to get into their top 6 place. But for the fact they have now fallen outside of the top 6 for the first time since November, they would need to be starting to pick up maximum points against the teams around them if Reading were to have a chance to get back into the top 6. For instance, Bournemouth have got to play against Norwich, and that could be a big opportunity for Reading to close the gap on Bournemouth and put some pressure on them. But Cardiff will feel they need to win this game. They are within touching distance of not being able to qualify in the top 6 places right now, so Cardiff definitely need to have a near perfect end to the season. I thought Reading were good against Watford. They just didn't do anything well in terms of the final third. If they can take their chances against Cardiff, and I think they can get something. As with Cardiff, I felt they had 2 pretty good goals, but I think it was pretty poor on their part for how they allowed Blackburn to get back into it. I might back Reading for the fact they're at home. Reading have been pretty consistent at home lately. They've picked up 3 wins in their last 4 home games. I'm going to predict a 2-1 victory to Reading. I think they might just squeak a win. FIFA 21's predicting a 0-0 draw. Next up, we've got London Derby. Brentford going up against Millwall. Brentford definitely, for me, have something much more to play for in terms of what Millwall have. I think for Millwall, for the fact they lost pretty heavily to Swansea, I think a chance for them getting into the top 6 is pretty impossible for them right now. As with Brentford, following that, Swansea did beat Millwall, and of course Swansea won their game in hand against Sheffield Wednesday midweek. Now Brentford are down to 4th, but they definitely need to try and keep the pressure on Swansea and keep an eye on Watford for the fact that they've got a very tough run in the end of the season. If they can keep a fantastic run of form and momentum, then Brentford might have a small chance of still getting automatically promoted. Millwall will not make it easy. They'll definitely make it tough for them to break down. I think with this game, I'm going to edge Brentford for the fact that they are playing for something a bit more for Millwall for me. I'm going to say 2-0 victory to Brentford. FIFA 21 is predicting a 1-0 victory to Brentford. And next up, we've got the M1 derby, Luton against Watford. Now, this will be heartbreaking for me, let's say, if Watford do get promoted, because I would say this derby would be banging if we had fans in the stadium. It was a feisty game in the reverse fixture, I remember it well. Watford won, but James Collins had an unbelievable opportunity where he managed to hit the woodwork. But this was a Watford side that were keeping clean sheet every single game, and Watford were looking a little bit more intimidating. And with their home form, that's been what's happened. With their away form, Watford have been a lot more weaker, but since Munoz has come in, he's really fixed their away form. They've not been as solid though. So I think Luton could still have a chance. You know, they did have a great away win against Wycombe Wanderers. So despite with them not really having much to play for and them being on the beach for a couple of games, I do think occasionally Luton can pop in with a performance. But I think with Watford, with that extra bit of impetus, with their determination to try and get automatically promoted, I think they'll carry them across the line. Sar's in incredible form right now, and I think he'll be heavily involved with this win. I'm going to say 2-1 away victory to Watford. FIFA 21 is predicting a 2-1 Luton win. Next up, we've got Middlesbrough going up against Queen's Park Rangers. Now, both these sides for me really don't have anything to play for now, so this could be a pretty dire game. I would say Middlesbrough, I think in recent performances, have just been inconsistent. And that's with Queen's Park Rangers. They've also have been inconsistent. We've seen what they were able to do against a team like Coventry and were completely dominant, but then in midweek against Rotherham, they were absolutely flat. And what's very like Queen's Park Rangers to bounce back against a Middlesbrough side, really. But I think Middlesbrough might have the edge. I know they've got a couple of injuries at the moment, but I think I would slightly back them based on their home form. I'm going to say 2-1 Middlesbrough. FIFA 21 is predicting a 1-0 away victory to Queen's Park Rangers. Can also see that as well. Next up, we've got Nottingham Forest going up against Huddersfield. You would feel that Nottingham Forest may be the more fresh of the two sides for the fact they didn't have to play in midweek. And Nottingham Forest have been improving their form as of late as well. They are now unbeaten in their last 4 games, which is why it's put them in a fantastic position in 15th place in the table. As with Huddersfield, they still got a fear of relegation a little bit. They narrowly lost 2-1 against Bournemouth in midweek. A poor first half, but the second half performance was very, very different. We saw a very different Huddersfield team in that second half. Jonathan Holt got the goal. And you could argue Huddersfield were slightly unlucky, maybe not even to get a second goal and get a draw out of it. With this game though, I do think Nottingham Forest, with their run of form right now and what they've managed to achieve lately under Chris Hughton, I think they can definitely take the win here. Huddersfield away from home, I've not been too confident. I mean, their last away game was a 7-0 thrashing of Norwich City, wasn't it? And with Nottingham Forest, I knew they were really disappointed for how they wasted their chances against Bristol City. I think they'll make a right to that in that game. I'm going to say 2-0 to Nottingham Forest. FIFA 21 is going to predict the exact opposite, a 2-0 away win to Huddersfield, which if that happens, that should confirm Huddersfield's survival. Next up, we've got Sheffield Wednesday going up against Bristol City. Now, a real body blow for Sheffield Wednesday midweek. They lost 2-0 at home to Swansea City, and it was pretty comfortable for Swansea, really, if I'm going to be honest with you. Sheffield Wednesday, unfortunately, just really couldn't compete with Swansea. Sheffield Wednesday right now, they're 35 points right now, 8 points off safety. They can get relegated from the next 2 match days if results go against them in the next 2 batch of championship games. But Sheffield Wednesday cannot think of that. They need to go for every single home game and really attack it. And that was what was really disappointing against Swansea, in my opinion. I think against Bristol City, though, they do have a chance because Bristol City themselves have been very, very poor in their run of form. A lot of things has happened off the field. Of course, their CEO, Mike Ashton, leaving Bristol City to join Ipswich Town, and actually their former manager Dean Holden joining the backroom staff as assistant manager for Stoke City. So a lot of movement off the field for Bristol City, but on the field it has still been very, very lackluster. I'm going to say Sheffield Wednesday will win this game and put intense pressure on the bottom 3. I'm going to say 2-0 Sheffield Wednesday. Why not? I think they'll do it for Darren Moore, who is going to be recovering from a setback from his COVID-19. I wish him a speedy recovery. FIFA 21 is predicting a 1-0 victory to Sheffield Wednesday. Next up, we've got Stoke going up against Preston. Now, once again, another game where I feel it's going to be very, very boring, if I'm going to be honest with you, because I don't think either of these sides don't really have anything to play for. You could argue Preston will still be fighting for relegation, but I think a lot of things will need to go against Preston's way if they were to go down. As with Stoke, their performances have been very poor lately, and I think it's because they have taken their foot off the gas this season. They've almost started to pack their bags and get ready to be on the beach already, because that is what I've seen Stoke in their last couple of performances with 2 defeats in a row. The reverse fixture was controversial. Tom Barkhuizen got sent off very, very quickly, and I think it was a little bit unfortunate for how he got sent off as well. And ultimately, the numerical advantage for Stoke allowed them to get in the away win. I think with 11 versus 11, I think this will be a 1-1 draw. I think it will be really, really close, but there won't be much within it. FIFA 21 is predicting a 3-0 away victory to Preston, which would definitely confirm their survival if they can do that. Next up is Swansea versus Wycombe. Now, Wycombe can get relegated this weekend if the following goes their way. If Coventry, Birmingham, Huddersfield and Derby all win their games and Wycombe cannot beat Swansea, which is very, very likely, then unfortunately Wycombe will already be relegated with 4 games left to play in the season. I don't think that will happen, but it just goes to show how precariously close Wycombe are to going down. But they're playing a Swansea side who are full of confidence right now. They've now got back-to-back wins, very comfortable wins with an aggregate score of 5-0 in their last 2 games as well. Beating teams like Millwall and Sheffield Wednesday as well away from home have been great. At home, you know, as long as Swansea don't perform like they did against Preston, then Swansea could definitely beat Wycombe. I'm going to say 2-0 to Swansea. I think they'll be quite comfortable in this game, unfortunately. FIFA 21 is predicting a 1-0 victory to Swansea. Next up, a huge game in terms of the top of the table. Norwich going up against Bournemouth. Now, a win for Norwich will confirm their promotion to the Premier League. So they'll definitely have all guns blazing for this game. But they're playing a Bournemouth side who've got the best forms in the whole entire league with 5 wins in a row, and they're definitely keeping up their momentum to try and secure their place in the top 6, and it's definitely not guaranteed because Reading are very, very close behind them. Bournemouth had a so-so performance in midweek. They did well to get a 2-goal lead from Billing and Solanke respectively getting the goals, but I think they were quite poor in that second half, and for the fact that Norwich didn't play midweek, I think Bournemouth will be a bit more fatigued than Norwich are as well. And their last couple of performances from Norwich have been great. I mean, their last home performance was a 7-0 victory over Huddersfield. I don't think it'll be that sort of scoreline, but it'll be competitive. It was a 1-0 victory to Bournemouth last time. I'm going to say this is going to be a 2-1 victory to Norwich. I think this would be the moment when Norwich secured a promotion to the Premier League, and it'll be thoroughly deserved as well. FIFA 21 is predicting a 1-1 draw, which I was very close to predicting as well. We now go to Sunday's games. We'll start off with Rotherham going up against Birmingham. Now, this for me is the biggest game of the season for Rotherham and for Birmingham, really. Rotherham had a huge opportunity. For me, yesterday was the biggest game of the Championship season so far. Coventry, of course, got a 1-0 away win. It was Leo Ostergaard with a header from a Matty James free kick. Poor from Wes Harding conceding the foul in that area as well. And what was poor for Rotherham, they didn't have a single shot on target at home. Birmingham right now, for me, they're within a couple of points from survival. From the 5 games that Lee Bowyer has taken charge of Birmingham, they've won 3, drawn 1 and lost 1, which is 10 points out of their 5 games, which is absolutely staggeringly good for Birmingham, considering the really, really dire form they were under Aita Karanka. And it's interesting because I think both these sides play very similar types of football. They rely a lot on set pieces. They don't like to play with the ball too much. I do think we'll get 1 goal within it. Rotherham need this goal. They really need to score. If Rotherham get a win, it could really, really reignite their chances of survival. But I do think the organisation Lee Bowyer's got with his team, I don't think he'll allow it. I'm going to say a 1-0 away victory to Birmingham. FIFA 21 has predicted a 3-1 home victory to Rotherham. And then the final game to predict is Coventry going up against Barnsley. Now, Coventry could breathe a sigh of relief there, because if they lost against Rotherham yesterday, they would have been in the bottom 3, and this would have been an entirely different sort of game for Coventry. Barnsley, this game is still important for them, because following the fact they have now dropped down to 6th, following that Bournemouth did win their game in hand as well. So they do got to keep their eye on Reading, which they do currently have a 5-point gap from. If they can keep their consistency within a few couple of games, then I think Barnsley would secure top 6. And away from home, Barnsley have done really, really well. Of course, they beat a club record of managing to win 7 consecutive away wins. I think they might make it 8. I know Coventry have done well at home, but I do think Barnsley may pose a bit too much quality and strength for Coventry. I'm going to say a 2-1 away victory to Barnsley. I think it'll be very, very close. FIFA 21 is predicting a 0-0 draw. So that's all my predictions for Matchday 42 this weekend. If you want to have a chance to be in the Leicester Hall of Fame, make sure you comment your predictions in the comments down below. And finally, to end off the video, on the screen right here are my Premier League predictions and my FA Cup semi-final predictions. You can also predict the Premier League fixtures to get points on the Leicester Hall of Fame as well. The FA Cup fixtures won't count. These ones are just for a little bit of fun. But that wraps it up for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys like what you see, please make sure you do give this video a like. It's tremendously appreciated. If you haven't done, please subscribe to the channel. It would really, really make my day. And please share my channel to as many people as you can. We really want to try and get 500 subscribers before the season ends. so that you can guys still see me on the channel. All of that would really make my day. But thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary for the end of this video. And as always, take care everyone.